All right, so we may as well get started. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Chris, we're going to let you lead off, but this is the CyberSecurity Sensei Saturday morning webinar, and I don't need to tell the date, but because what if this gets popular 2 years from now? So, Chris, do you want to share what happened with you this week?
I had a busy week this week, just outside of work in the cybersecurity field. One of the things I like to do is I like to go to conferences and different summits where agencies and vendors and providers like to speak their mind. Some of it's under the disguise of selling a product, but the people that they do invite to speak, you can come away with a lot of great knowledge. You can also meet a lot of great people in different agencies, different vendors, and you never know who's going to be your next boss there. And when I went there Thursday, the topic was zero trust. And the takeaways I got from it, and I'll make it really brief, I had 5 takeaways. Policy documents are really good reading. They stressed in their talks a lot about different policy documents. One of the key things is they're free, especially CISA, and I'll post the website on our CS-Sensei group. Lots of good reading, lots of good training on zero trust that's absolutely free. Would also provide a cybersecurity framework just as the basics under NIST. Those are just great reads. They're a little bit on the boring side. You won't see them in the videos. There's no great personality who's going to show you pretty pictures and bullet points. But if you just silence your phones, your TVs, and just get down to the documents and read them, you'll get some tidbits of information that you'll say, ooh, yeah, okay, that's good to know. And also your boss and all your other colleagues are doing their best to follow that document and comply with that document. So it's a great read. It's free. That's the first dot. The second dot is they've noticed that if you just jump into zero trust and do whatever, you're subject to failure.
Right. And you're not going to be successful.
You're going to overspend. You're going to make really, really nasty mistakes. A lot of these talks are lessons learned. Oh, yeah, we bought 5 different vendors that said, we do zero trust. And not actually go into the planning portion. Right. So for the mentee side, if you take any project management videos or no project management, we want you. We need you. And that's a great way to get an entry level. It's not the sexy red team. You go hack into somebody's computer because somebody told you to do it and you got legal obligations. If you have project management skills, even if you know how to plan and use an Outlook calendar, that's project management. We can train you the rest of the way. And one of the key things the government leaders are saying is planning for this, budget, time, how long it takes. Hurrying through the process is not good. It's good to plan, take your time, make sure you know what you want and why. So the bottom line I got from that is get project management skills. If you have project management skills, go look out there and see what's there and apply.
Yeah, along with the Security Plus, CompTIA also has a certification called Project Plus, which is pretty good. It is not a PMP, but then again, a PMP is very hard to get. And you have to demonstrate I think it's at least 2 years of project management experience.
Good state.
And somebody else has to audit you and vouch for your ability to do project management for that period of time. So it is it's a tough certification to get. But yeah, your point on this, let me sort of do a sidetrack here. From a employment standpoint, a lot of us have to realize that you're not going to, especially in the entry level, you're not going to walk into an organization and get a job at the front line, slugging it out with the bad guys. You may be doing compliance, you may be doing risk, you may be doing, like you said, project management. You may be doing auditing. You may be doing research for, like I said, compliance. They say, okay, what will it take us to get to this, in this case, like zero trust, using the NIST cybersecurity framework? What will it take? Well, you got to go study the NIST cybersecurity framework. Then you study your organization's application of information security and say, where are the gaps? You know, so there's a great ability to do things. I was at a meeting this last week and had a guy there who said, well, I don't know about this cybersecurity career field. I heard that to do it, you have to be somebody who writes code. And I said, I don't write code. You know, yes, there are code writers in the cybersecurity career field, but people's perceptions sometimes are a little more, how do I say this, exclusive than the cybersecurity career field itself. You spoke off camera about when one of the reporters talked to the federal manager. Was that in that same summit?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Why don't you share that, if you would?
Oh, that's actually my next stop. Thank you, Scott.
Okay. Very cool.
So one of the things I do get out of these conferences, because they do talk to federal CIOs, CISOs, and hiring managers, and whoever is in charge of the hiring, is one of the questions the media reporter who was facilitating asked, hey, we talk about workforce in these summits. What do you need to do zero trust? And the guy came out and go, if you have any knowledge of the cloud on the IT side, we want you. And he goes, he sat there and said that they need to have a better understanding and they need better skills, people with skills in the cloud. And that can range anywhere from just basic knowledge to explaining to the chief what the cloud is without going there, the 10,000-foot overview, all the way to the cloud development side and actually designing and architecting these systems, and much less secure them. And you get tidbits of information in these different summits and conferences where you say, oh, okay, boss needs this. I'm going to go on LinkedIn Learning or YouTube and figure out what that's all about, and I'm going to put my name in and talk about it a lot. That's just a good way to get in.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Very good point. Last weekend, I think it was last weekend, whenever it was, the weekend before, I forget, I did a presentation at the University of the Potomac to their cloud computing class. They actually have they call it CBSC 510 was the name of it, Cloud Computing from the Ground Up. And they literally have a nice comprehensive textbook that they use on cloud computing. How does it work? What is needed? What are the risks? What are the protocols? What are the technologies? And one class, and you could be, say, yeah, I've taken a cloud computing class and graduated with an A or something like that to help bolster your ability to say you have experience. Good morning, Ron.
Morning, Ron.
Morning.
Another thing you can, if you just don't want to put that money into the colleges, a lot of the community colleges, especially in they get their accreditations from our different agencies. I look at the curriculum, and especially the one in my local community college network. All they do is prepare you for these different certifications. I will tell you the vendor neutral for cloud is the CompTIA Cloud Essentials and Cloud Plus, and those will give you some beginner outlines. Plus, it's a lot cheaper, about a couple $100 cheaper than running that training course in the end.
Very good.
Mm-hmm. Last two dots about the summit. I would say do not be paralyzed from the fear of making mistakes, and that's true for all your life. You're going to make mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, start worrying that you're. And I'm not saying make mistakes on purpose. I'm going to say don't let the fear of making a mistake paralyze you from doing something and taking that step forward. make sure you do your risk assessments, all that great stuff. But if you just sit still and don't do anything, you're not going to be productive at all. And just want to say, don't be paralyzed from that fear of making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
With the caveat of don't make mistakes willy-nilly to get everybody upset at you. Do the risk management as well. And then my final takeaway from the summit was knowing what's on your system and why it is there, why it is on their system. And you can do that at home on your own home lab, going onto your router and actually doing an inventory of everything that's on your system at home. So finding that different skills and different experiences you do on your own, you are the system. We said this before in multiple webinars. You are the system administrator of your home network and an owner. You buy the products, you put them on your network. You probably should know who's on that network and why they're there.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you feel you got great benefit out of attending?
Oh yes, yes.
What was the cost?
For me, it was free. I have a .gov, but there are other conferences out there, and I do. If I find it in my emails again, there is a resource out there that you can get into these conferences for a nominal cost to free. Mm-hmm. My only other suggestion, Scotty, is look at Eventbrite and Mentees. Look at Eventbrite, look at meetup.com. They're out there. Go on to the vendors and follow the vendors and see where they go. If you have your top 10 list of places you want to work, follow their recruiting. They're looking for you too. They go to these conferences. A lot of these job fairs, recruiting conferences, they will post and say, hey, we're going to be at such and such at this time and date. Hint, hint, we're looking for people, not just to sell our products, but we're also looking for people who we can, A, be a salesperson, or B, do other things for us to do our mission. Mm-hmm. And that's where you can sell yourself and get your foot in the door quite quickly.
Very good.
I wish Harminder was here to tell his story.
Yeah.
I've seen him in action. Yeah.
I told his story last weekend when I was over in Phoenix talking to a group of folks about careers. And they were sort of like, what if I have no experience? And I said, well, the last guy was a baker. And now he's working a help desk so that he can get that experience, take the jump. It may not be the full jump to being the, full-fledged cyber warrior, but take the steps you need. And he's living the dream now.
There's also a lot of YouTube videos out there. Jerry Auger comes to mind, who does I come from this profession that has totally nothing to do with information technology, IA, cybersecurity, and now I am a risk manager, or now I am a project manager for a cyber company, or now I do blue team, or now I do red team.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Anything else?
That was my 5 brief bullet points.
Cool. Appreciate it.
I'll take anybody asking about it.
Anybody have any questions of Chris? Thoughts or ideas about how this could apply to you?
And trust me, I look much nicer on the weekdays. This is my weekend wear. Sorry for the unprofessional. Look.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to find out from the attendees here if you have started on your ISC2 CC certification yet. That certification, they said 1 million certifications. And by the way, Chris, I don't know if you saw in their website, they're offering 1 million certifications to first-time cybersecurity applicants. Now, yes. I don't think they have said, and we don't want anybody else, because yes. My wife's like, so I can take the test? Well, yes. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Okay. She said somebody called her yesterday and offered her a job. So, wow.
She would ace that test.
Yeah. Well, you know, to give you an idea, when I first pulled up the 601 curriculum book for Security Plus, it's now up to 601. I got certified way back on the 301 curriculum, which was back in 2007. And so I thought, you know, how relevant is that from the 301 to the 601? They had the 401, the 501, and then the 601, all of which had new material. So I pulled out the 601 curriculum, and in the book they had sample exam questions. I took the first chapter and the last chapter and tested myself on, you know, how close am I, and I still scored an 89%. So it's like, yeah, you don't forget this stuff if you're working on it. You may forget some of the little P's and Q's, like, you know, RSA versus AES, and, you know, those sorts of things. Those require direct study. But a lot of the other stuff, once you get it, you've gotten it. And then you just have to keep thinking about it. That's why I think it's really important for us to remind everybody that our weekly homework assignments are not for us. Chris, you and I do this natively, and that's why you and I keep posting this. We go out and we look at news, or we're out in a, like you, at a summit or whatever. You bring that back and you say, here's what I found, here's what the implications are, here's how it can be useful for me or you or whoever. We want everyone to be doing that, to be feeding into this program. Again, I say it frequently, this is not the Scotty and Chris show. As a mentor, I'm not here to talk. I'm here to encourage the mentees. So the mentees need to develop that lens, that ability to look out at the news and say, what are the cybersecurity implications of this? To look at their movies that they're watching and say, what could have happened differently? You know, not just Hollywood, but what could have happened differently? Sometimes Hollywood gets it right. Sometimes Hollywood doesn't get it right. And for you to be able to know that helps in the long run, because if you're in a cybersecurity position, your boss, who probably watched the same movie you do, is going to come into the office thinking that that may be real life. So you've got to be able to discriminate between what is hyperbole in order to sell a product, or, you know, get more people to watch it in the movie theaters, and what is real life going on right now. This week is the 1-year anniversary of Shields Up with the CISA, the Russian invasion of the Ukraine. An active cyber war has been ongoing since that time. Now, I am certain the U.S. has been providing all sorts of intelligence data to Ukraine, you know, from CISA and, you know, those organizations, to say, we just blocked this coming to your country, or those sorts of things. You know, so there are active things going on that may make it into the news but may not. So that's why we want everyone to remember that the weekly homework has great value to you. Less value if you just come and listen to Chris and me. Okay? Chris, any thoughts on that?
I will say that I always have that mindset of what is closer to you in the cybersecurity world, not just the news. And I'll go to my final dot, my story of my week. One of my, actually I'll say my pastor, was used in a phishing scheme by criminals. And the church had to go into incident response mode. And I'm kind of happy they went into incident response mode, because I look everywhere in CISA, the only thing they have on faith-based organizations and nonprofits is physical security. Mm-hmm. And they just rely on you just doing basic cyber hygiene in the end, which, okay, shrug, but moving on. The first thing he did, public side that I saw, was he blasted out on social media going, if you see this email, first off, here's the problems with this email. And I admire him. He has no cybersecurity background. He has a journalism background besides his seminary and all that. He circled the bad email address. He circled all the bad grammar. He goes, my grammar is horrible, but not this horrible. He actually said that on the line. And I emailed Scotty. I didn't publicly post it because I'm not sure how public my church wants to be about it, but they're public. They do that. But something about me and my heart on saying not a lot of people want to say that they've been hacked. And there's some interesting things if you study the CyberSecurity and Security Plus. There's actually a communication plan that goes involved. When do you notify law enforcement? Who notifies law enforcement? When do you go on blast saying, oh, my company got hacked or my nonprofit got hacked? When do we go public about this? If we go public about this. Yes, there is situations you do not want to go public about it. You're going to lose data. You're going to lose your reputation in the business world.
Right.
I love our chat about CIA. People think you're going to have that balanced spoke wheel of CIA.
Oh, the triad.
The triad. The CIA triad. You can try your best to balance that. That is an uphill battle. You're going to learn in your experiences. Availability of data and what the systems they need fights hard with confidentiality and integrity. That's my experience. But anyways, I digress. So I'm tempted as a cybersecurity nerd to go to my church and say, hey, do you need help and all that? I decided to stay silent and watch what they did because I want to talk about this some more. They sent me as a group leader an email saying, please tell your group members this is not Jonathan. It's posted all over social media, but please get that word out to them. We don't want any victims is the bottom line in that email. And, of course, I did it, and I did a little instant response from that. So my point of all that is you never know when you're going to get experience and never when you're going to get called to do cybersecurity-like stuff. And along with your training, when it hits close to home and you are focused and on the homeworks and doing all that, you'll know what to do and do it right rather than, ooh, oh, can I be involved? Can I be involved? Can I be involved? That's the absolute worst case, the worst thing you want to do. Yes, we admire the passion, and I've done this mistake before. Yeah, I want to be involved, and I want to be involved. I want to be involved. There's a policy and a process to do things, and if you don't follow that policy process to do things, you're just going to make mistakes, and that only feeds up to the bad guys in the end. Yep.
Okay. That brings up, no, that's a great point, which brings up something that I'm going to share on my screen because I saw something going on, and it was just like what you're describing, but with another person that I associate with. I got this email, February 6th, from this person, Yvonne Watford McKinney, who is a PhD lawyer in North Carolina that I work with, and the email was just hi! And then I saw this. I can't call at the moment. That's why I emailed you. I need your help. Please let me know when you receive this email. Thanks. And oh, by the way, it used her signature block. So I was like, all right. Well, I said, Dr. McKinney, I'm available to assist. What can I do for you? And she said, thanks for responding. I need to get an Apple iTunes gift cards for a friend of mine who is diagnosed with stage 4 mesothelioma cancer. Mesothelioma and cancer are the same thing. It's her birthday today, but I, lowercase I, can't do this now because I'm, lowercase I, currently out of town, period, no space. I try, blah, blah, blah. I tried purchasing online, but unfortunately had no luck. I was wondering if you could help me get it from any store around you, and I'll reimburse you when I get back. Kindly let me know if you can handle this so I can tell you the amount and how to get it to me. From a PhD lawyer in North Carolina. I said, I'm not thinking that's the case. So, number one, this came directly from her email. For real. Number two, I knew somebody that goes to church with her, so I emailed that person and said, please advise Dr. McKinney that she needs to immediately change her password because she has been compromised. And if I didn't have that association, if I didn't know what to do, I'd be responding to this joker, and I wouldn't have helped to close the hole that had occurred because I didn't have that association. I knew about this person, but I didn't know somebody who also knows this person. So I can go to that person and say, contact her directly, call her or whatever, don't email her, and say, change your password. So that's the sort of thing that you can do regardless of your background and where you come from. It's important for you to remember that you have a part to play in helping to make this a better world. When stuff like this comes up, take it into your responsibility, do the right thing, and help make it better. That doesn't require a degree, it doesn't require certification, it doesn't require a job, it just requires you to know enough to care, and to care enough to know what to do. Thoughts, Chris? Mentees?
I'll take it to the mentees. I've talked a lot.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I also last weekend, I think it was last weekend, talked about being in this mentorship program, and I put down some things that you can put on your resume if you are a frequent participant in the cybersecurity mentorship program here at CS-Sensei. You can also, if you want to name names, name me, or at least my credentials, a little bit about who your mentor is. That helps as well. So you can put that into your resume that says, I am actively engaged in a cybersecurity mentorship program while I'm learning. So this is good. Ron, Parima, Nerman, anybody who comes in here and participates routinely, we will back you up if we are contacted by a prospective hirer and say, yeah, they do participate. We see them on Saturday mornings here on a live webinar. They do this of their own volition, which shows their initiative. That is a good thing to demonstrate. And if there's one thing that most first-time cybersecurity personnel are interested in doing, it's finding more stuff to put in the resume that's going to interest a prospective hirer. If all you're doing is sitting around, and I told you this when I talk to people that go to school and get that cybersecurity degree, the next thing they ask me is, okay, I've got my degree. What now? In other words, they hear a little bit, they go do it, and then they're still not sure where to go from there. So that's why a mentorship program is so valuable. That somebody who's been through it before. And summits like Chris described are probably not the best place to say, how do I apply for the job? Not the best place. You should be taking in information, introducing yourself around. Go ahead.
I'll let you
No, you're good. I was just saying you should be associating, but not necessarily, okay, how do I apply?
I do not go into those summits asking for a job. I go into the summits, first off, I pick and choose my summits. I will find a topic that is going to be the main topic and go, ooh, zero trust, okay. Ooh, IT modernization, okay. I'm not going to go in there and, oh, it's a Dell about laptop computers. Okay, I do know about laptop computers. I'm fine with that. And also not the place I'm technically looking, but you get my point here. Mm-hmm. You kind of want to say, I'm here to taking knowledge, and my big boss, the big head honcho, when he sat me down after I hired, he goes, Chris, I have first mission for you. Go and meet. Yep. Your two main goals in this place is meet people and learn everything about the topic, and don't be afraid to talk about the topic and learn off of people. Listen more than you want to talk in these places, unless you, in your heart, you know that's right. What you know. 9 times out of 10, I'm in listen mode, but I'll ask questions if something I don't understand. And don't be afraid to walk up and talk to people. Yes, I wear this introverting shirt right here. This is more I'm in my rest Saturday moment. But if you have a burning question, don't be afraid to go to your person next to you and go, hey, what do you mean by that? Do you know? Or all that kind of stuff. And go to LinkedIn and find that person who was talking, and 9 times out of 10, they'll send you to the right person. And they're not going to sit there and say, oh, how dare you talk to Jen Easterly, or how dare you talk to Ann Newberger from NSA. They're going to send you to the people who know. And, oh, by the way, those people also hire.
That's right.
So if you have an interest, you have a love, and they fish this out and they go, oh, I see Prima's on this. I see Prima's resume. Oh, wait a minute. I know Prima. I met Prima. She actually had a great question about Zero Trust. I wonder if she's interested about Zero Trust. She applied to a position in Zero Trust. Interview pile. Yep.
Very good. Very good. So please, if you have not started the ISC2 CC application, go to isc2.org and look for 1 million certifications. They are offering the certification and the exam for free. I went and looked. The study guide is $20, right, Chris?
$20, yes, but can I encourage you not to use the study guide? Because unless you are a reader, the online course is free, and it's the same exact copy at the moment.
Got it. Very good. Also, I looked at it yesterday, and it literally says, don't use this as a study guide. Okay. We call it a study guide, but they said this is information. It's not to be used as a study guide, but it does cover blah, blah, blah. So I think what they're trying to say there is this won't cover 100%. So don't use this all by itself and think that you're going to pass the exam with flying colors.
For the mentees here and for not online, click on the links, register, let them be the bad guy to tell you, oh, you're not a new person. I'll tell you that I am not a new person in the security field. I got on for free. I didn't lie. I actually have good intentions for them. I'm going to probably either have the Department of Labor pay for that money, or I'm going to pay for that money to take the higher level test in the end. I just want practice to see what their testing system is like. Right. But if you come in with a good nature, like me, saying, hey, I just want to see what the testing atmosphere is like, they're not going to come back to you and say, no Prima, no Ron, no Nerman, you can't do that. They want money. They want money from you in the end, but there's a win-win for both sides. You're going to learn some more about cybersecurity. You're going to learn about their testing environment. You're going to learn everything else. And in the end, they may get your money, or they may get Department of Labor's money, or your vendor's money, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't hurt to try, guys.
Right. ISC2 or ISC squared, whatever you want to call it, they are the organization that is responsible for the CISSP certification. Obviously, they are shooting for people who don't yet have CISSP. If you do have the CISSP credential already, this is considered to be a subordinate certification, so why would you go get it anyway? They're trying to capture the market below CISSP, and they're literally trying to steal it from CompTIA Security Plus. CompTIA Security Plus is the baseline certification that nearly everybody starts with, and now ISC2 is trying to take that market share by offering 1 million free certs. So pretty soon, even if it says requires Security Plus, you're going to start seeing requires Security Plus or CC.
I will also say, before people say, well, you're championing certifications, read some background knowledge into why these certifications are regarded. I go into, if you see, I post a website from the military, the Department of Defense, and their workforce framework. One part in that framework, it used to be called the 8570.
8570, yep.
It's now something new. And it's their workforce list of what we look for in different positions in different places.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the objectives, a lot of the objectives match the testing objectives here. And you'll see that the framework also, the 8570 framework, also recognizes Security Plus, also recognizes CISSP. They're going to go through that and make sure CC is on there as well. You have those certifications. That's one check mark they don't have to worry about. Once they hire you on board, you get you have 6 months to get that certification under there. That's one less thing everybody has to worry about. In the end, they like easy hires.
Right. Yep. DOD Framework has been around for many years. In fact, that's why I had to go get my Security Plus back in 2007, because of this brand new 8570 framework that said to do this job at this level, you must have these certifications. It literally says that in the 8570 or whatever it's called now. And by the way, it's not negotiable. When the DOD says we want to hire, this brand new contract doing this particular thing, people on this contract that you bring forth, Mr. Contractor, are going to be certified at this level. And oh, by the way, that matches up with the certifications, either, CC, Security Plus, CISSP, CISM, CISA, whatever. They all match up. So DOD uses that 8570 like a bludgeon and says, you're not going to get anybody in here who's just as good. Nope. If they don't possess those certifications, you will not hire them, and they will not be on this contract. So DOD takes a very hard stance on that, and rightly so. They are probably second only to CISA.gov, they are probably the most hacked or attempted hacked infrastructure in the world. Most people may not know this, but CIA and NSA both stem from DOD roots. Homeland Security sprang directly from .mil originally. Before they had a what's it called, the director of Homeland Security or whatever it was, Homeland Security was under DOD. It took 9/11 to actually split off a Homeland Security all by itself. Before that, Homeland Security was handled by the Department of Defense. So if DOD says it, that's probably a good thing for you to use throughout the industry. because it will help you in a lot of the jobs that you're looking for, as well as if you get lucky enough to get into the DOD or Homeland Security and get that clearance. Those jobs pay proportionally more than non-clearance jobs. But the clearance process takes time, and it's sort of tough to break into that. That's why my wife keeps getting phone calls from organizations, companies literally offering her a job. If you come back to work for us, we'll pay you, $180,000 or this sort of thing. And don't worry about the security clearance. The DOD or whoever have developed methods to allow you to do semi-work in that area while your clearance is being processed. In other words, we can keep you productive even while your clearance is being investigated. So they are hurting for talent, and you want to be that talent. I guess that's, yeah, go ahead.
At the same time, and for our mentees' sake, knowing what companies you want to get into, and then knowing the companies that's out there looking for people and what they're looking for, that's the bottom line of what Scotty and I are saying is, if you know that they need a certification and there's a pathway to get to that certification, don't be afraid to take the free pathway, even if it's the most lowest level beginner. There's probably a reason why they want you to start there in that basics rather than jump up and say, oh, the job announcement says CISSP. I'm going to go ahead and jump in and learn CISSP. Then you find out later on that, oh, shoot. First problem is it says I need 5 years experience. Second off, I need someone who is an ISC squared CISSP to vouch for me. Oh, shoot, they're talking about these topics I have zero clue about, much more experience in it. You probably want to start on this side of the rail, which is free. Gives you the basic rundown. Oh, by the way, you get experience in the testing structure and how they're going to test you, so that when you get to your first job in the end, I'll put it in my shoes that if I were to be a hiring manager, if I see you, if I put an entry level and I'm one of those people that say, hey, I want a CIS, it would be nice to have a CIS, not required. I'll make sure that language is there, and HR will probably fight with me about it, but I'm one of those 20 people that said, hey, it's nice to have, but I'm not going to make that my requirement. My basic requirements are here. If I see you, hey, participating in CS-Sensei and listening to other mentors who are there, and oh, you have these resources, great, wonderful. You're doing CC or IT Fundamentals Plus or A Plus or Network Plus, moving into Security Plus. You're showing passion.
That's right.
If you have passion for that, if your resume is written well and you're on the interview pile and I see that in your resume and you rock star the interview and we click and get along, I'm going to sit there and say, consider it to hire and maybe even hire if I'm in the hiring shoes. Scotty, I don't know about you on that one, but you've been in more interviews than I have, but I get the feeling the hiring managers would want someone with passion more than their unicorn of perfect skills. Because if you're the unicorn of perfect skills, what if we don't click? What if we butt heads on different things? You're going to say, I know more. You're just giving me the money and signing the paycheck. I don't want that on my team. Right.
My CISO or ISSO in my organization, I've spoken with her about this mentorship program, and she says, wow, my people could really use that because they don't have the right attitude. And she's talking about an entire division of people. She says, the work's getting done, but it's not a group that I feel confident going home and leaving the work to. And I'm putting words in her mouth, But she said, I think everybody in my division needs to get part of your mentorship program because her words, she did say this, we're hiring the wrong people. We're hiring the wrong people. So that points out that it's not just the certifications. It's not just the experience. Chris, you mentioned the word passion. You've got to wake up in the morning thinking, I love cybersecurity. Not, oh my gosh, it's going to be so difficult. How much work is it going to take? Even if you do get the certifications, you're going to be poisoned at the interview and poisoned in the workplace. Why would they want to hire you? Even if you do have certs, you got to be somebody that enjoys doing this. I wake up in the morning wanting to make this world a better place before I lay my head down at night. It may just be a small thing like that email I did with the doctor in North Carolina. It may be that, but I want to be a force for good. And it shows. You develop that persona that people tend to think is magnetic in this career field. You get that charisma by having that desire to make this world a better place. It is not something that you can study and learn in a book. You got to be somebody that, well, I'm going to give a real stupid example, but you're walking down the aisle in the grocery store and you see a can of soup that's in the wrong place. You put it back where it belongs. You're walking your dog and somebody has somewhere that had a rock rocks in their front yard, and they got pushed out onto the street. You sort of push them back onto their property while your dog is doing his business or whatever. You want to make every step an improvement. You improve yourself, you improve those around you. People like associating with you. That's what you want.
I started to watch a TV show called Monk. My wife loves the TV show Monk. Mm-hmm. And the best way I can describe Monk is he's a detective, and he has obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yep.
Everything has to be in the right place, or else it's 100% anxiety for him. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say you want to be like Monk. You want to have that, hey, I'll give you another example in the summit. In the summit I went to, one of the guys came up to me and go, well, what do you do? Why are you here? All that questions. And one of the lines I came up with after much back and forth, and I go, I love computers, and I love to secure them. I want to make them better for people. I want to make sure that when we do use those computers and they're efficient, the bad guys and the criminals are not going to be knocking on our door, or I want to prevent them from disrupting and doing what they do. And that's my heart and passion. It gets to the point where sometimes I have to have family members come to me and go, Chris, you need that rest. You need to have that seventh day. You need to have that. And the fight in me is that, yes, I need that rest. It's for my health. It's for my well-being.
Well-being, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a fight for me, is not during that well-being time, open that computer back up and go, ooh, what else is there? Ooh, ooh, ooh. And it gives me that smile, gives me that joy. But wife comes in and goes, Chris, come on. and if you're fighting yourself from rest to do that, that's passion to me.
Right. Yep, I would agree. Passion also indicates your ability to be durable, and that's another thing that a hiring manager is going to look for. I don't want to hire you and then have to hire your replacement 6 months from now because you left. I want somebody that is going to arrive and become a reliable part of the workforce. Sure, you may move on at some point, and everyone deserves to move. But, Don't show that during your interview. You know, hey, I'm just on my way to the top. There are times where that's helpful and times where that's not. Interview, first steps in the door, you need to be focused on right here and now, what I can do here to make this a better place. And then, again, you have an effect on the people around you. And oh, by the way, the people around you have an effect on you. So avoid poisonous people. You need to be somebody that when you associate with a group, ears turn. People respect what you have to say. You're not just, I'll give you an example, somebody that I spoke to numerous times about joining this mentorship program because he was studying for his Security Plus. I said, yeah, you should hang out with us. We got a good group going. And he said, yeah, well, the career field, blah, 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 blah. And then you heard me say this multiple times, Chris. This guy said, everything has a back door. Everything has a back door. Everything has a back door. And he said it so many times. I was like, maybe I don't want you in my program. I said that, in the back of my mind. The point is, if everything is not going to work, then why are you trying? I want people, if you think that you're not going to be successful, then go get a job, painting houses. You'll be successful with that. But for the rest of us, I want people who say, I want to make this world a better place. And even in the smallest manner, because you are learning this, you become the subject matter expert for everyone that knows you. And you want to be a force for good. You want to be, and I say this frequently, you want to be the annoying voice at the party or the family reunion that walks around and said, oh man, did you guys patch your iPhones? Because, this is a pretty nasty thing going around. You want to avoid that. So, you guys all patch? Good, cool, thank you. What do you care? I want you to be better. I want you to depart this conversation more secure than you arrived. After a while, they'll contact you. You become the subject matter expert. You become the one people listen to. But you got to get out there and say, I want to make a better tomorrow by working today. Anything else, Chris?
Yeah, that's
cool. Okay, last two things I wanted to cover. I realize we only have 9 minutes to go. Pig butchering. I brought this up. I had not heard this phrase before. I guess I wasn't paying attention. Pig butchering is a scam, and the point of pig butchering, and it's sort of kind of macabre in the way they say it, but what they mean when they say pig butchering is if you are getting ready to do your thing with the pig, the one thing that you want is the biggest, fattest pig you can get. So pig butchering scams are considered to be long-term. In other words, somebody will initiate conversation with you. They will build rapport with you. They will try and establish trust with you, even creating websites that look like they are official and stuff, and then they'll get you. Pig butchering is a period of time where they literally try and groom you to be a victim. So it's not one-time hit and then they get you. Pig butchering is considered to be a period of time over which they're trying to build your trust. Chris, I see you thinking.
There's a Netflix documentary out in the wild that is a prime example of pig butchering. The bottom line of that Netflix documentary is the young lady was looking for love, meets this jet-setting guy, and jet-setting guy flies her around, woos her, all that trust, and then boom, he goes in and goes, hey, I need your help, I need your money, I need to get out of the of a tight spot. But he does this to a bunch of girls. And this if I find the title of this Netflix documentary, I'll probably get it from my wife and post it on there.
Okay.
That is the prime example of pig butchering.
Yep.
The term is very interesting. I'm reading a Wired article as you were talking, Scotty, and I'll post that there. It's a Chinese term about fattening up a pig before chopping it up to a butcher, and the scammer pretty much woos you, builds your trust, and once your defenses are lowered, that's when the attacker comes in and goes, "Hey, I have a situation. You love me. I'm sorry, I'm a poor scammer myself. That's why I don't do it, because I'd be horrible at it. Hey, I build your trust. I love you. I'm in a tight spot. Can you please send me money?" And that's where the scam hits.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scott.
No, that's a great example. If any of you realize the one thing that it requires on your part is trust, and then giving, but giving because someone asked. The difference between that and, like I said, being a force for good is that you're giving because you see the need and you know, meet the need with something as simple as advice. When it talks to pulling out a checkbook, purchasing gift cards, you know, a government agency will not contact you and ask you to send them gift cards. It just won't happen. Oh, the Tinder swindler, huh? Is that what it's called? Very cool. Yeah. So pig butchering, it takes time, and they're building your trust, but the same thing happens. They're trying to scam you. And the last one I wanted to get, and again, this comes from my former associates at the President's Commission. They're all still watching, and they're up in their 80s doing this. Infrastructure attacks are expected to continue. Those guys that, you know, shot up that substation in Washington or Oregon, wherever it was, also in North Carolina, South Carolina, what they're doing is they're approaching these substations and they're shooting at the biggest transformers they can find. Anybody can do that. And that's the problem. That's where they're struggling with, how do we help make sure that these thousands of substations, and we're just talking electricity, what about gas? What about water? You know, how do we try and harden these things so that it doesn't fall prey to some kid with a .22? And so they're saying infrastructure attacks are expected to continue, because now it sounds like it's fun to down your neighborhood or down, you know, where some political party is hosted that you don't like or whatever. Go shoot up a transformer and ha ha ha. Yeah, well, what about the hospital or, you know, whatever place that does stuff for your kidneys or whatever, it helps to keep people alive. Maybe your grandparents have to go to it. Now you have made their lives more difficult, you know. And what do we do if I lose power? How can I do the mentorship? How can I continue my job? How can I VPN into the office? What happens if there's no power? Is power important? I would say yes. So how do these infrastructure providers, in my case, Tucson Electric is the name of it, TEP, how do they make sure that people don't go shoot up the transformers? You know, wrap it in armor, maybe? Kevlar your transformers? Who knows? Chris.
If you do your studies and you ever wonder why you need to learn physical security, that's the reason why. A lot of the entry-level jobs are going to be risk management, governance jobs. Those are the conversations you're going to have in those type of jobs. Is what's the risk of some crazy, nutsy people decide that they want to they disagree with everything we do and shoot up the power station.
Yep.
Okay, how are we gonna lower that risk? Are we gonna eat the risk? No, we're not gonna eat the risk. Maybe should we put a running cop there and put that running cop there? Yeah, probably a good idea, but can we do something better? Can we hire our own security force that makes sure that's there? Oh, by the way, how's that security force with their vetting of people? Are they part of it? Are there insider? You get what I'm going here. So
yeah, and it goes on and on.
There's need, and I think I was looking through hunting and I saw Excelon, the one in BGE, was actually looking for a risk manager who talks about that stuff. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if that job ad's there anymore. It was months ago when I saw it, but that need is there.
Yep.
And it's a good foot in the door.
It is.
Good money too.
Mm-hmm. Great. That's all we had for this morning. Ron, Verima, did you guys have anything for us? Guess that means no.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us this morning. And everybody have a great Saturday.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
All right. Take care.